Welcome, everyone. It is Thursday. It is time officially
It is officially
for the cut up.
Yes, it's cold in here. Y'all see this good blanket I got?
Are y'all ready tonight? Welcome, everyone. It is so good to see you back with us tonight. Tonight, as you see, I got my green tea. You ain't got to adjust your cameras because it is green in the bottle is green some kind of way. But
that don't look green inside. Though.
Yeah, I'm
it is. It's just the camera. You know, sometimes the contrast.
Got you.
Adjust your contrast, y'all.
So, adjust your contrast, y'all.
Adjust your yeah. But first, let me say hi to our wonderful co-host over here, Angel.
That'd be me.
Over there, looking as beautiful as she want to look.
Now here you go, trying.
That's right. We just celebrated our anniversary.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Oh yeah,
happy anniversary.
Yeah. The Flintstones came and sung their happy anniversary song in the morning.
Lord have mercy.
I woke her up right with it.
He did, and I was angry
inside.
I ain't gonna lie. As much as I was
trying to be
festive.
If you don't know who the Flintstones are, turn your Facebook off now. Because this show is going to be for those that remember the Flintstones.
Trying to be festive. I was angry inside because I was asleep.
They came up
and put the phone right here.
I put the phone right in the air. There's happy anniversary.
Oh, I was mad. Oh, I was mad.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. It was
Joel, shut up.
It was the best.
You got a lot of nerve calling somebody ashy.
All right, so now that I got that out the way, I'm going to introduce one of my favorite people.
He about to lay it on thick.
My yeast, my molasses on a hot roll, my Popeye. I call her Biscuit, not Biscuit. Biscuit. You got to say it like that.
So dumb with you.
Ebony Biscuit Jervey. It's so good to see you tonight.
Welcome, Eb.
She knows I mess with it like that. She knows.
There's a reason why he calls it that, but that's not this show.
Right, that's not for tonight's show. That's for a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Y'all know me. I
Stay
got,
focused. Mind your business.
Right. Y'all know me.
This show is gonna be heavy, so we gonna get.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Yes.
We are going in tonight. It's going to be a sensitive topic. So I'm just letting everyone know. I'm putting the disclaimer out now. Everything you're going to hear tonight is just our opinions on what we've been through. It's not no hate toward anybody or toward any group. Right. We love everybody. We want everybody to prosper. What you're going to hear tonight is not going to be any type of negativity toward
bashing.
one person. It's not bashing. It's just going to be different avenues of everything that we have been through.
That's nice.
And everything that these young ladies have been through. So I want to get it started tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about something really, really sensitive, really, really personal, and it's called the mistrust of molestation.
Yeah.
The mistrust.
Yeah.
Of molestation. Like, wow.
From mistrust from
wow. Just that alone.
Yeah.
Right there is saying a whole lot. And we got so deep into it that even before the show, we could barely contain everything because it was such a roller coaster of information and emotion that was just going on that we had to say, look, we got to stop this and save this for the show because it was really a lot. It was so much.
And there's no way that I was going to let my wonderful husband put himself out there and talk about his struggles and triumphs through his struggles and not put my own out there. So this is where we at today.
This is where we at tonight. So
hey, Miss Sandra.
I'm gonna start with hey y'all, how y'all doing? My deaconess is watching. Deaconess Takira Pratcher all the way from Atlanta, Georgia.
Good night.
I can't forget my wonderful. Oh, she don't want me to say. Okay, that's fine. So,
and we are live,
right?
From Zach Studios, Zach Williams Studios.
We got our wonderful producer Zach Williams.
He is actually on he's in the set tonight.
I would say he's on the 1 and 2s, but it's not the 1 and 2s.
Okay. He got 1 and 2 keyboard. He got 1 and 2s over there on that keyboard.
And we got our wonderful, illustrious production assistant over here who decides to be anonymous when she wants to.
Come on, that illustrious is a lot.
Nah, Joel, no
rock band tonight. They already played.
Yeah, I think they already played and they took communion and they're out the building now.
Yeah, so the benediction was had around 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
Just like you let it on thick.
So maybe this was one of those moments where God made sure he got everything out the way.
Yeah.
So y'all can hear everything because everything needs to be heard.
Yeah. So we gonna talk about a little bit tonight. So we gonna get right into it. So Angel, what is your definition of molestation?
Lord have mercy. So molestation for me is, total violation of something that's unwanted. But you don't even know that you don't want it because you don't know that it's not supposed to be happening.
Right.
And that was something that I didn't realize, inside it felt like something was wrong. Mm-hmm. But it happening so young, molestation, similar to rape, is like it's about power. That's good. It's about influence and intimidation.
Okay. All right. So Eb, what is your version? Do you have the same?
It definitely piggybacks off of what Angel said. For me, molestation it's broad. It's very broad. It's not something that's shallow. For me, molestation embodies physical, mental, emotional, all wrapped up into one experience that stands and stays forever.
If I could choose a single word, I would probably say control.
Okay. Well, in dealing with molestation, especially in our sectors, and when I say our sectors, I mean not just the church, but the families of color.
Yeah.
Where we're taught
absolutely culturally
to keep it in the family.
What happens in this house stays in this house.
Don't you go telling the family business outside the house. Oh, there's the rock band.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Joe.
There you go, Joe. The rock band is in the house. So, but wait till they close the door. So, in all that, you have to now keep this secret. Here's the thing, because a lot of times molestation doesn't just happen once. It happens a lot of times, multiple times, because the person that's doing it has got away with it. Can we pin that right there? Yeah, because sure.
A lot of this, and I'm going to be honest, it's going to be triggering for me. I'm going to be honest, and that's not to say that I haven't forgiven or let it go, but it's like I said earlier, it's like a healed scar. Even though it is healed, it's not reopened or anything like that. When you see the scar, you remember. It's never going to leave my memory. And you said something that just kind of and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, so for me, I couldn't understand how nobody knew.
Wow.
Because that's what you said. You literally just said they feel like nobody said anything. Nobody they got away with because you didn't it was a secret.
Right.
But in a way,
it was an accepted secret.
It was because accepted. It's for me. I couldn't understand how nobody figured it out or nobody knew, and I was too afraid to say something because there's threats involved.
Right.
There's, like I said, it's the bigger voice. You're the small, minute voice, and this person seems so much bigger and so much more powerful.
Right.
And if nobody's watching, when you grow up, especially if you grow up in a big family, if nobody's really paying attention to you,
right.
This is why I never wanted, and I'm going to have to say, go this way. This is why I never wanted to have a bunch of children.
Right.
Because I didn't feel seen. I never felt seen.
Right.
So it's easy for you to do this because nobody's watching anyway. But if you pay attention to your children and you see certain things, certain characteristics, certain body language changing, things like that. When we talked about it earlier, I said I was a great student. I was an awesome student. Right. I did my, my dirt like any other kid did. I had my share of stealing from the store and all that other stuff. So I ain't gonna say I was a perfect child, but grade wise, I was smart. I used to read encyclopedias. I was smart, and I was getting good grades in school and then all of a sudden, everything changed, but nobody noticed. Nobody noticed, and in my mind, as a child, I'm thinking to myself like, nobody can see that this man is coming purposely into the kitchen for no reason at all and swiping a fill. Nobody's paying attention to that.
And this is something that just didn't happen once or twice.
No, this was a 4-year.
Yeah, some years.
This is a 4-year molestation for me. 4 years.
Month after month.
4 years from fourth grade to 8th grade. 4th grade to 8th grade.
Okay.
And dealing with that, I couldn't understand how nobody knew. Or if you did, nobody was saying nothing, that's for sure.
Because it goes back to that, what happens in this house stays in this house, you don't talk about. And like you said, not feeling seen or feeling like you're seen, but when you're in tune, like you said, to your children, your brothers, your sister, when you're in tune or invested or, you have that covenant and relationship with someone,
I understand what you're saying, Michelle.
Hear what they don't say.
Right.
So I do not believe that in any spectrum when molestation happens to a young child that somebody does not know. Well, I've read that she had to apologize.
No. Yes. I'm going to do my best to talk and read some of these comments because I don't want you guys to. I want you to feel seen.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I want you to feel seen, like you're being heard, and yes, Michelle, it is triggering, and like she said, especially if everybody is afraid of your offender. Now I don't know if that was the case because I didn't really pay attention to that part. If there was fear in the house,
very
but Niche said something that's interesting.
Offender. Wow.
Right. And Niche just said something too. She said she was made to apologize. She had to apologize to her offender.
Yeah. And someone like that.
And there are some that, we go back to the movie Precious.
Yeah.
Right.
How she felt like she was at fault.
Right.
It was her fault that she was being raped by her own. Well, I don't know if that was her father, but the mom's husband or her father, whatever. But she was being raped by him.
Okay.
And she was made to feel like it was her fault. For me, I felt like in the beginning I was so afraid, and I think that's probably the reason why I am the way I am now. I'm just not afraid to speak out on anything, is because I was in a chokehold for so long. When it came to what was going on with me and how I felt, I spent the majority of my younger adolescence and going into teenage years, I spent a lot of that time holding in and being angry, but not saying anything until I began to lash out at everything.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me take it somewhere else. Could it be? And I'm gonna say this, and I need everybody to understand. I don't condone nothing. I am simply saying as the middleman. Could it be possible that the molester is is something in them where they can't help it.
That is very possible. But
what
here's
is in them.
That's very possible. But it's very possible. And here's the thing. I'm not even taking it away from that. Mm-hmm. But as the victim, you only know your own pain.
Okay, so I say that to say because there's a song that's out, and I'm not gonna say the name of the song, but there is a song that's out, and I used to listen to it all the time.
No, you're gonna have to say the name of the song.
Okay, I'll say the name of the song. The song is called "Dirty Peaches," and I used to listen to this song all the time, but because of the way they sang it,
and because the beat is dope,
I never paid attention to the words. And so I was listening to it. I was singing a few of the lyrics, thinking, "Oh man, this joint is nice." And I had to pull over a few years back when I finally realized what they were talking about. I'm like, hold up,
right?
Are they saying what I think they're saying? This song, "Dirty Peaches,"
may have happened to them. That's right.
This song, "Dirty Peaches," this is something different. This song, "Dirty Peaches," come from the mind of a molester,
right?
I'm not saying the person who wrote it molested. I'm just saying they wrote
the song as a molester. And how a molester would be thinking.
So I'm going to read the lyrics for you. So the lyrics may be a little offensive to some.
We're not trying to offend anyone.
We're not trying to offend.
Please.
Your discretion is advised. But I'm going to read the lyrics. Sweet and sticky, juicy thing. Summer comes and there you hang. Can I taste you? Not so ripe, but I can't wait. Want you dripping down my face. Please don't make me chase you. The next verse says, can't control my appetite. When you tell me no, there I go, doing what I shouldn't do. Barely know my wrong from right. Cross the lines to satisfy some hunger. Great just to taste the way you used to. Ooh. Then it says, maybe because the deepest piece of all her sweetness ain't nothing but dirty peaches. Nobody ever told you, no, you ain't supposed to do how you do. Gushy sugar pop. Every little drip and drop. I wish I had the decency to stop.
Jesus.
And I can't control my appetite. When you tell me no, I take a bite and wonder why you start to cry. Don't do the things you do, 'cause this little girl may grow up missing all of her sweetness if you dirty up her peaches too soon.
Go on and keep reading.
It just goes on to say, don't do what you're doing, boy. Don't do what you do. Don't do what you're doing. Don't do what you do. So it's basically coming from the mind.
You're right.
Like when you hear those lyrics, like really, gushy sugar pop. Every little drip and drop. I wish I had the decency to stop. And I can't control my appetite. When you tell me no, I take a bite.
When you tell me no, I'm going to take it from you.
Right, I'm going to take it from you. And wonder why you start to cry. Just that right there. I had to stop and pull over and say, wow. All this time, I'm singing this song, never and playing it, because the beat is dope, the song is dope by itself. And I'm like, I saying what I think they're saying?
A bunch of hidden messages behind the song.
Different messages behind the song. So it's coming from...
The song is called Dirty Peaches.
The song is called Dirty Peaches. So here's the thing. If you're not in the underground hip-hop, more likely you probably wouldn't have heard of it, because it's definitely not going to be aired. But it's one of those songs that you just hear on the cuff if you're in the underground.
So wifey Tashana, believe it or not, it's a woman.
Yeah, it's a woman singing it.
Who sings the song.
It's not a man.
And I truly believe that she is the one who was molested, and she wrote it.
She wrote it
from the perspective of the molester and how she felt
Yep.
That
he did her.
Yep. Right. Because that's the thing. To say that, I wish I had the decency to meaning I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing, but I can't control myself. I can't help it.
So that's why I had to ask, is it something that's in them? Is it something that they just can't control? Is it something that is inbred, maybe from generations?
Or maybe a few people said maybe it happened to them.
Yeah. Maybe it happened to them, but it could be generational. You know, because a lot of times these things happen, and here's the thing. As I said to you guys, I'm just in the middle. I was sharing with Angel and Ebony earlier. Could it be possible that what we consider, could it be possible that if an older man is with a 12-year-old girl, let's just say, is it possible that just in our culture it's wrong, but in other cultures, overseas and different places, it's not wrong for a 30-year-old man to marry a 12-year-old girl? It's not considered that.
Right.
So you have to ask, is it just us? Is this our culture and how we feel?
No, I mean I don't think so, but I do believe that, you know, some things that our culture frowns upon, other countries don't, and vice versa. We celebrate pride in this country. We celebrate love who you want to love, mm-hmm. But in other countries you can die for it. And that's this country, you go out and you're 45 years old and you marry a 12-year-old and everybody's looking at you like, what the hell? But in other countries, they literally groom some children from like 2, 5, 6 years old to grow up and marry somebody at 14 or 13 years old, and the
Lady Danbury said
right
on Queen Charlotte.
For everybody who watched it, Queen Charlotte, she was groomed at 5
to be this man's
wife, and he was like in his 60s, 70s, and all she knew, she was like
she was
color.
She was
like
to like his favorite food, and
like Coming to America.
Color.
Whatever it is you like, I like. Whatever it is you eat, I eat. You know, she was groomed for that in other cultures, and we frown upon that. So, culturally, yes, but in our culture, African American culture, African American descent, and that we'll go in every area of African American descent.
Right, but here's the thing.
We've had this problem of molestation within the home,
right,
for eons.
But I need you guys at home, those that are watching. Is it possible that is something that is in them? It's something that was born with them. Is that possible? And I say that because we were discussing homosexuality. Right. Remember, this is not to offend anybody.
No, because as soon as you go there, I'm going to say something that has to be said.
We have those. You have certain people that believe, and you got a right to believe what you believe. I'm not saying you can't. That's whatever you believe is what you believe. You have the right. You have certain people that believe they were born that way.
It could be learned behavior, correct?
They can't, in their mind, control how they were born. So you got men that feel they're women, and you got women that feel they're men. So in that case, if we're on the side of, okay, well, of course God loves everyone, and of course now it's acceptable in so many arenas.
Michelle, you are correct. You are absolutely correct. Not just in the home, but in the church too. Yes.
Now that it's acceptable in so many arenas, is it possible that pedophiles, that they were born the way they are? Because if we're going to say one aspect of it and say, okay, homosexuality, yes, they were born that way, then we have to also
that's the agenda that they've been pushing for the last few years.
Pedophiles were born the same way, and they they have a right.
They feel like they have their rights now. They're pushing for their rights. That's right. They're pushing for their rights.
They say the same thing. I like who I like. They like who they like. If you're allowing this man to like this man, why can't I be 60 and like this 10-year-old?
Between same-sex marriage, why can't we get married? Why can't I, as a 35-year-old man, get married to a 12-year-old girl? If we're in love, and you're like, oh, well, that's not possible. That's not.
Brian, that is so true.
What
He's talking about Elijah Muhammad. He said if a woman is half a man's age plus 7.
So, and right, wifey, I believe it is a transfer spirit. You know.
Well, I believe that may be true, and here's the reason why I'm going to say that. My first molestation happened to me when I was in the single digits, and it wasn't within that 4-year period. It was before then. And it was by a female. And because of that situation at such a young age, that spirit was deposited, right? So for years, I questioned my own sexuality. Like, am I supposed to like girls? Now, granted, I've never been with a woman. I think women are pretty, but I'm not like attracted to a woman.
I think they're pretty too.
Nobody asked you. No, nobody asked you. But because my first molestation was by a female. I grew up looking at women.
Right, Brian.
I grew up looking at women. But I here's the thing. Because it happened, I was so confused because I was thinking to myself, I'm going to use Ebony as an example because she's sitting right here. Am I supposed to be attracted to you? Am I supposed to like what you like, even though you have the same thing that I like? Even though I'm in the church and it says that man is supposed to marry, but my first deposit, my first sexual deposit was by a female. So am I supposed to be into you? Am I supposed to find you attractive? I had to question myself for years.
Well, that's the thing. You know, we have to agree that if something has happened, usually in that time period when you're young, it left an imprint.
Yes.
Like
that scar.
Yes, that's like the scar. Yeah. But then, after that situation, and then, you know, over time, you know, there was a period of time when I was, you know, everything was fine and everything was good, and then that 4-year period happened with a man, right. a very, very much older man. It gave me all new feelings.
Right.
Like, right. So, and I'm just gonna be honest. So my first, you know, quote unquote boyfriend was like 8 years older than me, and I was like 14. He was like in his 20s. Yeah. Why? Because is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
So first, for a while you felt it was right.
No, right? No. I didn't know if it was right or wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. My first sexual deposit was from a woman. So am I supposed to be with a woman? Okay, no. My second encounter was with a very much older man. Right. So maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I'm supposed to be attracted to older men. Okay. Because this older man seems to be quote unquote attracted to me. And in the beginning, I knew it. I knew something was like wrong inside. I felt like it was wrong. I was like, this can't be right. But over time, it was more like, all right, come on, do what you're gonna do so I can, you know, go back to bed and live my life. Slip the little money underneath my pillow like you do.
Right.
Now.
And that's the thing. It was slip money.
Yeah. Like, so it was a threat of power. If you say anything, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to you. And then after you do what I want you to do, or allow me to touch you where I want you to touch you while I beat off, then I would wake up with money under my pillow.
Well, here's the thing, though.
So then, look, but hold up. Right. What is that depositing? Am I supposed to do stuff for men and get money for it?
Right.
Am I supposed to allow a man to do whatever he wants to do to me and then wait for the money to come? See, there's all kinds of
layers
and avenues that come from molestation, and then we have to go to what Ebony was talking about. Now my mind is being molested,
right?
Not just my body.
You said something very interesting. You know, like I said, I don't know whether this happened to you, but I'm like, you just said they would touch
right,
you.
Tashana, give an incentive.
Like they would touch you and then relieve themselves without actually doing it, without penetration.
No, so for me, that's why I said I pray there's no children watching. But I'm gonna know. So it was touch me with one hand, beat off with the other hand, in the middle of the night.
But that's the thing. What's so different with an actual older woman of that age that you would have to? I can't answer that.
Right.
It's just like, if you're not going all the way and you're just touching and
you all right? Are you I'm talking to Ebony. Are you okay?
I'm
all right.
At any time we can take a break if you need to.
Yes.
You get a little overwhelmed. But that's the thing. It's just like, why not get a woman your own age to do the same thing with? You know, like if that's what you really want.
What is the attraction?
Well,
that's the question you're asking. The purity.
Brian Russ said something very interesting.
The purity.
Brian Russ said something interesting. He said, because I can't control myself, I'll control you.
Wow.
Or like Angel said, the power and the control. I'm the first to do it, so I leave this imprint. I leave this mark. You're gonna always remember me. You're gonna always remember me because I was the first.
I was your first.
I was your first.
Even if I wasn't the penetration, you'll still remember.
Right. And for me, and I say this often to people that are around me that I've shared, some of my stories with, some of my life with. I like when people talk about when did you lose your virginity? I literally have to say it this way. I gave myself away willingly at this age.
That's good. That means
I say that. I literally say that to people.
Right.
I literally say that.
Yeah.
I say I gave myself willingly away.
Yeah.
At this age. But it was taken from me before I gave it away.
Wow. So you didn't have the chance to really give it away.
I was already penetrated before I willingly allowed someone to sleep with me. And that was also manipulation because, again, much older man.
Wow. So then, here's the thing, though. What's stopping?
Y'all pray for Ebony, y'all. She had to take a break.
Take a little break. And it's okay. It's okay. So, I have to ask this. Molestation in the church.
Mighty God.
What is going on with our, I have to say it, with our bishops, our preachers?
Brian said, can you add him to the live? Brian, we should have just had you come to the studio.
I mean, and here's the thing. I said once again, for those that are getting on, I'm not bashing anybody.
No, this is not a bashing session at all.
It's not a bashing session. We're talking about simply what we're talking about. But the difference in when your molester is in the church.
Michelle said it happened to her.
Yeah. Wow. Michelle, I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. And that's the thing. When the molester is your pastor.
Jesus help us.
When that's the thing. Like when it is your somebody that is close to you that you have to watch in service. When they teach something different.
For me that well, when I said in my original post last week when I decided to talk about this, one thing I said was, I think I'm paraphrasing because I don't know if exactly how I said it, but I said my mistrust comes from the molestation of my body and my mind. Some people have been manipulated and molested in the mind through the church.
Right.
I am one of those people.
Wow.
And one of the reasons why my mind and my gifts have been molested in the church is because my body was first.
So you were already conditioned.
Classically conditioned. That's Psych 101. Classically conditioned to allow people to take advantage of me and not have a voice.
Now, let me share this with you. And this is for you too. So for those that are watching, I shared a story with Angel.
I'm so sorry.
I showed a story with Angel, and I'm going to share
so
it right
sorry,
here
Michelle.
on the live. I told her, I said there was an elephant, and the elephant was tied. The owner of the elephant tied his a chain with spikes around his leg, a very young elephant. And as a young elephant tried to get away, the spikes would catch on the elephant's ankle and would cut him deeply. And for weeks, the elephant would try to get away, and it would just cut the elephant's leg to the point where the elephant got tired of running. So after about a year, the owner finally took the spikes off the elephant's leg. And guess what? The elephant sat right there.
And never left.
Because he was classically conditioned to being in a certain spot. To the point where...
And he knew pain.
Right.
Oh my. He knew anytime
because of the pain.
Because of the pain. And here's the thing. The pain never goes away.
Right.
The pain never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I definitely want Ebony to speak on because I know that she understands me in this area. It affected us so much that it literally shaped. You know how like that the Bible says you are born into sin and shaped in iniquity. These things have altered our God-given characters. The characteristics that we have now were not what God intended.
Right.
It shaped us into who we are. And because of that, and Ebony, I'm going to let you talk about this in depth. Because of that, it caused us to be extremely protective, overprotective, hard parents. Especially for me. I didn't want my daughter out of my sight.
Right.
We talked about this earlier. The moment I found out I was having a girl, I was miserable because all I could think about was all of the times that I was violated, how young I was, and I was so fearful that I'm going to bring a girl into this world that I've already wanted to die in so many times.
Wow.
Because I know that there are people out there that will or want to do what happened to me.
Right.
So, Eb, you can take it from here because I don't need a minute, but I need a minute.
Right.
Everything that like Angel said was absolutely hands down correct. Being a parent, hands down, is, you know, some people's dream. Some people, they from 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I want to be a mommy. I want to be a mommy. I want to be a daddy. I never wanted children. Now, if you would look at me today, you probably would not ever fathom that was something for me.
Right.
I never wanted children, ever. And then I said, okay, I'm going to have a child, clearly.
Right.
It has to be a boy. It has to be. And everyone thought that, it just has to be a boy because there were already so many girls around. To some, that probably is what it was. But for me, it was, you're not going to bring a girl into this world where she's preyed on, taken advantage of.
Right. You don't want that, right?
That's not the life.
Right.
So when I found out I was having a girl, I definitely was an emotional wreck, crying nonstop. I was like, no, you have to have a healthy baby, love the baby regardless. But it was the triggers and the thoughts in my brain and the thinking that
experiences you had.
No.
Yeah.
Like, because boys are supposed to be strong and men, and I'm going to raise a man because nobody's going to take advantage of him. Nobody's going to hurt him, but they're going to do this to this little girl. So then it shaped the way I parented. It shapes the way I lead in ministry.
Can we just pause right there? Pause there.
Well, hit the button.
Because you literally said something that is just like, it more than shapes how you parent.
Absolutely.
It more than shapes, because you said something earlier that I wanted you to say right there. She didn't even want her child to go with her own father.
Oh, no, I'm going to give y'all a story. And I was working, I think at a grocery store. I don't remember. Had to go to work. Everybody works. We work. You have children. You work. I was at work. My father was at work. Everybody was at work. My mom, the grandmom of the year. She really is. My mom is the grandmom of all grandmothers. She had the baby. I'm done. I'm off work now. I'm done. Before the find your location and all of that. When I tell you I cried, I left voice messages. She was with my mom. And I couldn't get in touch with them. I don't know where they were. Like, I think they was in a church service. I don't remember, at the store. And I wish I still had another phone. The other phone, the old little flip joint. You're trying to take my daughter away from me. She's not safe. I went off. And she was only a good couple months old, maybe 6. I did not want Neve to go anywhere.
Bishop Drizzle.
She couldn't. She couldn't go anywhere. I wanted to be super protective over her. And I'm still super protective over her.
Still.
And it's the fact, like, now, like I said earlier, it shapes the way I parent. It definitely shapes the way I lead in ministry. Because you would think, like,
all of them kids is hers.
They're my I don't care. Like, they're my children.
Right.
I do. Listen, I'm going to protect them. To the point where they be like, you doing too much.
Right.
What happened? Where we going? I'm going to show up. And I'm going to be there because I feel like I have to.
Right.
And, all my children, they have wonderful families. Y'all sitting right here. But I just feel like they're mine. I have to protect them. Yeah. Where, like Angel said earlier, it has shaped and altered our God-given characteristics, because it's a twofold. Like, one, I'm not supposed to be mean or standoffish or what's the other one I get? Nonchalant. That's the main one. You're so nonchalant. You don't care.
So
I was made to be this way.
Let me tell you how deep it goes. When I found out that I was pregnant and I knew I was having a girl.
Did you cry like me?
I cried. I was very sick for like the first 4 months. I spent the first 4 months in the hospital. But here was, y'all about to see how deep this goes. I prayed for and yes, this is how deep it goes. I prayed for the blackest baby. I wanted my daughter to be the darkest child walking the face of the earth. Why? Because I felt like only light-skinned girls got molested. All I wanted was a chocolate baby. Makai's name was supposed to be Mahogany. Because all I wanted was a chocolate baby. Why? Because in my mind, remember, we're dealing with colorism as well. Right. Listen to where we're coming up. We're talking. I was born in the 70s, so we're talking about colorism as well. We had to deal with all that in the 80s, light skin, dark skin, all that other stuff. So all I kept thinking to myself is, I want a chocolate baby. Why? Because then you won't want her like that. You won't look at her like the way you look at light skinned girls. So when my daughter came out, she was pink. She was pink. She was lighter than me. And no. I'm going to tell you how deep this goes. When I saw her, I didn't want her.
Wow. Really?
Because she was so bright. Jesus. And all I kept thinking to myself is, somebody's going to do something to you because you're just so pretty and you're just so light skinned.
You didn't even give her a chance to really.
You don't.
So that's the reason why that's why her name is not Mahogany, because she didn't come out. And here's the thing: I was angry with God. I was angry with God because I felt like, you know how they say whatever happens to, whatever your parents sow, your children, or should whatever your parents sow to their parents, your children will sow to you. I literally felt like everything that happened to me was going to happen to her worse.
Wow.
Which is why I held on to her so tight. My child was not allowed, none of my children, even now, I didn't even realize how much it affected me until we started talking. Right. My kids, even now, are not allowed to spend the night out. You can come spend the night over here,
right?
But my kids don't go to other people's houses.
Right.
I can count on my hand how many times my oldest daughter, who is about to be 26, my middle daughter, who's about to be 16, and my son, who's about to be 14, have slept in somebody else's house that is not a family member.
Right.
I can count on my hands because that's something that I haven't gotten over. That trigger, that barrier, I have not broken down yet.
That's a whole nother scope because there are a lot of parents who let their children.
Yeah, no.
And so you got Uncle Johnny or Aunt Kim who's over there.
And everybody ain't uncle.
Right. But that's,
and everybody ain't auntie.
That's given, and it also shapes to even now. And it's funny because I just had this conversation the other day what I allow my daughter to wear around the house. Mm-hmm. Like everything.
Brian, let me piggyback off what you just said because honestly, he said another side to this, the emotional aspect of molestation could result in people being clingy. They're socially awkward. Let me say, I'm going to say this publicly.
Clingy, huh?
No, I'm going to say this publicly. Yeah. Honestly, I believe that's the reason why my son is such an introvert. It's my fault. I believe my son is such an introvert and he went to his formal. Y'all saw how wonderful he looked. He looked amazing. He told me, he texted me 10 minutes after I left. And I'm not gonna cry. He texted me 10 minutes after I left. I wasn't even home yet. And he said, please, Mom, come back and get me. I feel so uncomfortable. I said, son, you can do this. You can be, it's okay. He's like, there's just too many people in here. And when the next morning, when his dad asked him, hey son, how did you enjoy the formal? And he said, I hated it. I sat in a corner all night long. Honestly, I have to be honest. I believe that's my fault because I didn't allow my kids to be around people like that. You were around family that I trusted only. And there ain't too many that I trust. My kids are very much mentally adults and they can have an adult conversation with you because they're around most of the time. They're around adults.
And they're sheltered.
And they're very sheltered. They're very protected. And to see him text me and say, please, Mom, come and get me. I feel so uncomfortable. Broke my heart because it's my fault that he is not as social as he could be because he'll feel more my son will feel at 13 years old will be more comfortable in the room that we are in now with this conversation than he would with children his own age.
Right. Wow. You know what's crazy?
And it's because of my sheltering them because I don't want anybody to touch them.
Or and it's also the reason behind, and many people ask me this question. What is the drive behind? Why do you keep going? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why are you always doing this?
Because she ain't letting nobody else pick her up.
Because I'm not letting anyone else be in close proximity. Right. I don't care if I have to drive 32 hours straight. I don't care if I get no sleep. Mm-hmm. This is why I am. And my daughter, those of you that know, she is a social butterfly. But in her sectors,
kills Ebony.
In her sectors where she is very social and she's doing this and she's doing that, Ebony, Jervey is right there.
That's right.
I'm at every.
That's right.
We going. Where are we going? We doing this.
That's right.
We doing that.
Right.
And that is why she is a social butterfly. Like Angel said it does. It just. But I'm gonna be right there. Let's be social together.
You know what's crazy? There was a time for those of you that heard our broadcast a few weeks ago when I talked about my daughter. One of the issues after she finally started talking after she finally started coming into her own, she used to tell us about a time when she did live with her birth mother, where her older sister would have guys
and girls
over there, and she would watch them do things to each other. Now, she was like 4 or 5 at the time.
Here's where molestation of the mind comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you have molestation of the mind. Now, I'm not sure, because I wasn't there, whether anything happened to her personally.
She says no.
But then again, you just can't tell, because she might not have remembered. Because there's a lot about that time she doesn't remember.
She doesn't even remember.
But I know we did struggle a few times when she was about 9 or 10 years old, where she wanted to date. She was already in date mode.
That's what she felt like. She was supposed to, she was in like the 5th grade, and she just felt like she was supposed to have a boyfriend.
So she would watch all these romantic movies and Disney movies and all these things where guys were kissing.
I'm trying.
And so I had to kind of pull her to the side and like, hold up. We're not watching this movie right here, because this movie, even though it's a Disney movie, is saying and doing things that you're not ready for yet. Because I understand we're in the 21st century or whatever, but they doing things that you don't need to do yet. So we're not going to go, but Dad,
here's another thing that we have to, speak on in that same vein. When you tell a child at such a young age, 5, 6, 7 years old, when you deposit things like, this person did this to you, right. Or say this person did that to you.
It was pretty vulgar.
Very vulgar, and I'm not going to say it on here.
We're not going to say it on.
But when you guys can imagine what was said.
What was said to her.
But here's the thing: when you tell a child, kindergarten, 1st grade, say that this person did this and they never did it. But the fact that you're literally depositing.
Oh, Mom.
You're depositing. You're molesting the mind. You are depositing sexual thoughts into a child. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a physical touch. And this was one of my issues when that whole situation happened, because I said, you instilled molestation inside this child's brain.
Now, hold on.
By by having her say out loud and basically telling her stuff that she's never even heard before.
Pause right there. We're not talking about some uncle or grandfather. This is a mother telling her own daughter, I want you to say
this about your father.
About your
father.
Say
he did these explicit, and when I say explicit, extremely explicit things. Her having to repeat them.
Right. Now, she's already, innate to trusting you as her mom. As the end all be all of trust. That's what it's supposed to be.
Whew.
This is my mother, so I have to say it. But yet, you want me to say this against my father, who I love too.
And there's a lot of women out there that want control over the men. And I'm going to take the spotlight even off of your situation personally, because we know others that are going through this or have went through this situation where the mother is telling the child to say certain things about the father. You are instilling a seed of molestation into the mind.
But that's why I say that the molestation of the mind, for me, in my opinion, is by far has the strongest hold. The most powerful one, because even if it gets to the physical, and when it gets to the physical, it always starts with the mental first.
Right.
Before anyone touches anybody, before anyone says anything inappropriate, it starts with the mind control first. And that's not just with young people.
Right.
It's broad.
Which is why when it came back around for me in that 4-year span, I wasn't it wasn't a shock to me. Does that make? I don't know if that makes sense.
That's right.
Because I've already been exposed.
Yeah.
I've already been down this road with somebody else. So I can't even tell you exactly when it began, but I know it began like immediately within like a few weeks of moving into this house. But because I was already touched I was already touched. It was like, oh, so it comes from men too, not just women. Oh, okay, so all right, well, okay, I guess confused. You don't know this is where we are. And I was already conditioned to molestation, so he didn't even have to bribe. He didn't have to. Yeah, he didn't have to really do much. It was more the power of you. I'm the bigger voice, and you're the smaller voice. So the threat came. Now, the first time wasn't the threat.
Right.
It was an experimental. This time came with a threat. Wow. So now I've seen both sides of it. I've seen it the nice way. Because the first time it wasn't like it wasn't mean and nasty and you're gonna do this. Most of the time it was don't say nothing, keep quiet. But the second time it came around and that it was a threat.
Right, but most of the time when you're older, threats come with it. Right. Because when you're younger, you're pure and most people tend to be the nice hands on, the sweet, the subtle, because this is a younger child, this is a smaller being, let me be friendly, show myself friendly so they can trust me. That trust versus mistrust, y'all, my educators out there, y'all know what I'm saying. That trust versus mistrust, you do that at a young age because you instill that, okay, you can trust me, so now that you trust me, I can imprint what I want on you, because you're so young and you're so pure and you're so naive and you're open, because I have to feed your brain, because that's what happens during this time frame of ages 2 to 6. Your brain is supposed to be fed and conditioned, and they take advantage.
And they take advantage. So when it comes back around, when you see it coming, and again, that's like I said, when you're in a household with a lot of people in it, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
It's easy to be forgotten that you're there. Seen versus unseen.
Yes.
And then here's the thing. When you're already unseen, you do your best as much as possible to stay unseen. So I went from enjoying wearing dresses and getting dressed up to next thing you know, I'm dressing like a dude. I'm most comfortable in a pair of sweats and some sneakers and a t-shirt.
And that goes back to what we said earlier. Didn't anybody pay attention to that?
So
because I went from A's and B's.
Really play a part,
yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does. I went from A's and B's to straight F's.
You find
7th grade and 8th grade straight F's, but nobody. I didn't get it wasn't like, oh, what's going on with you? It wasn't let's sit down and talk and let's have it wasn't that.
Right.
I got my behind what and then it was either you do better or peace out.
So you go through every avenue to make yourself seem less desirable, whether it is
there's other studios in here, bro. Like, so there are theme music.
There's other people rocking it here.
There are theme music.
Definitely. They jamming though. So I want to take it somewhere further. Now that we have established that where molestation, even as a young person, and how it affects your mental capacity, and because so many of us have been through it, how does that affect us and ministry with our gifts?
Now, Jesus help me, Lord.
Because now you're in ministry.
I need another one.
Where it seems, and I'm not saying every pastor or every leader, but you have leaders now who use that same manipulation tactic to molest your gift and prostitute you.
Oh my!
By that manipulation. Because
did you use the word prostitute? Well, because it sounds like you did, and you know what that sounds like? It sounds like leave the money under my pillow.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. I remember when I was playing for a certain church when I was a little younger, and one of the things that the pastor was good at was he was always prophesying something. And one of the things he used to prophesy was when he wanted the church to give money. Well, I can see this, this person, if you don't give me money, you ain't gonna get that new house. If you don't give me this, then you won't get that new car. Or, Sister Angel, if you ain't singing for the Lord, you won't get nothing.
That
Sister Angel.
My God. So you are you a prophet? Because those exact words happened to me when I was a teenager. A woman prophesied to me at a youth service and said to me, after she heard me sing, she said to me, she said, if you don't sing for the Lord, you're never going to. She said, you're never going to get anywhere in life if you're not singing for the Lord. If you're using your gifts to sing R&B, you're never going to get anywhere. Now, at the time, I was literally like, not trying, but I was like doing demo sessions and listening, going back and forth to New York, laying down stuff with people, and then she said this to me, and I was just like, now I'm spooked, I'm spooked. Here I am, like 15, 16 years old. I'm spooked now. Like, if I open my mouth and sing anything that has nothing to do with God, I'm just like, I'm not gonna have a voice anymore. I'm not gonna. So, you know what I did? I stopped singing. Period. I was so afraid that I just stopped singing. Period. For years, I wouldn't sing for nobody.
It's crazy. I can tell my story. See, I can't tell nobody else's story, but I can tell my story. Especially now that it was in the past.
Help us, God.
I used to travel with a certain pastor. And I knew what he was about, but he paid well. Let me say that again. Say what you say. I knew what he was about, but he paid well. So it is what it is. At the time, I needed some cash. So I traveled back and forth with this man. And I remember when...
Right, Michelle.
I remember one time...
Right, Ryan.
And here's the thing. At the time, I wasn't married, so it is what it is. But traveling down the road, I had women in different area codes.
Help us.
I did. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So there was one situation where I was seeing a young lady. And I told her, I said, hey, I'm coming to your city. Be ready, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The pastor at the time did not know that I was seeing this specific young lady. I didn't know how he felt about it. So after, and I call it the show. After the show.
Not the show.
Yeah, it was a show. It was a show.
Not the show.
It was. Because after the show, me and the young lady, we went and had some dinner.
Psych. They had dinner, all right.
And when I got back to the hotel, the pastor says to me, where were you at? I went out with such and such. With who? Hold up. Nah. We ain't doing it. I'm like, first of all, you got yours in the next room. How you?
Well.
How you? Come on, Doc. You know what this is. You know what this is. But I didn't know that he wanted that specific young lady. I didn't know. So what happened, and this is where it comes in. He called this young lady the very next night.
Here's where the molestation part comes.
The very next night, this young lady.
Power.
He calls her over.
Control. To
the hotel we were staying at. He says to her, I want to speak to her alone in my room. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. I'll leave out the room. She comes out 15 minutes later crying. What you tell him? I ain't say what you tell him. I said what what you tell him? Oh, he told me about it, telling me that the Lord would strike me down and he would send the angel of death to kill me. I was like, you believe that? I was like, and you told him, didn't you? Well, what was I doing? He's a prophet. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
But she was deathly afraid.
Right.
And she spoke everything
afraid. And that's what happened to me. She said it to me in front of like the whole congregation. So I got to the point where I was like, shoot, if I sing Mary Had a Little Lamb, I'm going to hell. I would rather not sing nothing.
Yeah, Brian. Look, man.
I'd rather not sing anything at all.
I used to, I sat there and of course, I didn't stay too long after that at that particular ministry. But I had to sit there. I was like, how you want to manipulate to this level? To tell her that the death angel would come to get her that night if she didn't tell you what you wanted to hear.
I had a pastor tell me once that, he had and this is recent. I ain't gonna say how recent, but it's recent enough. Within the last 10 years, how about that? That they were recording their I'm about to say show. They were recording their service. Amen.
All right.
And he attempted to tell me how to sing, like how he wanted me to sing. So he enjoyed the fact that and anybody who has seen me lead worship, I leave it all on the floor.
Yeah.
I leave it all on the floor. When I go in, I'm going in, and it's not because it's not a performance. It's because clearly, as you can tell, I've been through enough in life that I have a reason to thank God for it. So I'm leaving it all there. But this person says to me, I love the way you lead worship. I want you to do that a little bit more, and this a little bit more, and this a little bit less, because I'm recording the services, and I'm allowing our sister church overseas to see it. And whenever you're leading worship, we get more money. We notice that whenever you're leading worship, more money comes in. So I want you to do this a little bit more.
Right. They want you to check
I want you to,
a little more.
yeah, I want you to, sing, growl a little bit more, and
they want to see all that.
Look, peep this, bro. And I love, help me, Holy Ghost. Now y'all be wondering why you don't see me in shoes like that. Here's the reason. I love when you're ministering in those really high heels that you wear, because it helps to bring the money in.
Money left under the. Okay.
See?
So sing like this. Now I feel like I'm Tina Turner. Sing like this. Yep. Sing like that, and make sure you wear them really high heels. Yeah. So we can send these to our church affiliate overseas, right, and we get more money.
That's the molestation of the gifts.
Yeah. That's the molestation of the gifts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's the thing.
It sounds good when you say it, but
now how about this? But here's this. Here's this. Because I was such a babe in Christ, guess who did it?
Yeah.
I did it. Why did I do it? Because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But where did that come from?
The molestation of the mind in your past, and that trust versus mistrust, that big voice. I'm the big voice, you're the little voice. All of it plays a factor.
Go back to the beginning.
Go back to
the beginning. It's a cycle.
Now.
It's a cycle.
I'm going to take it even further. I got my bro here tonight, and I'm sure he can attest to what I'm about to say. Being in so many ministries since you were youth, you've seen and heard it all. And because you've seen and heard it all, there's very few things that rock you inside ministry. So, because of that, and now I'm speaking for me, because of that, I rarely ever praise where I work. Because of that, I rarely worship where I work. Why? Because you're not paying me to do that. You're paying me to play. You're not paying me to come to the altar.
Right.
You're not interested in my soul. You're interested in my gift.
Right.
You're not interested in me shouting. You're not interested because if you shout, we ain't got no music.
That.
Right.
So you're not interested in any of that. You're interested in me using my gift as you're paying me to do. So I had to now, and I grew up.
And now he's classically conditioned.
And I'm classically conditioned now to not feel anything as I'm working.
Which is horrible.
Yeah,
because that's exactly where you should
horrible.
be getting free.
But here's the thing. The place where you should be free is the place where you're most bound.
Whoa!
I'll smack this microphone.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
If Zach wasn't sitting there,
Wait a minute.
smack this microphone over
Wait
there.
a minute.
The place where I should be.
Well, the place where I should be free is where I'm the most bound.
Pin it.
Why?
Lord.
Pin that.
Because I'm working. I've been classically trained because of so many that have shared and said,
my God,
we're not paying you for that.
Wow.
You're not paid to do that. You're paid to play.
Wow.
So when people say, "Oh man, you did excellent," well, I'm working. I'm gonna do what I'm paid to do.
Wow.
Jesus.
No matter what. You're not gonna see me up there at the altar. You're not gonna see me.
Hey, Uncle Raymond.
I can't speak for me. I'm talking about me.
Right.
You're not gonna see me all around dancing in church. I'm going to do my job.
It conditioned you to just.
It conditioned me.
And here's the thing. In this conditioning, he's been playing for 35 years.
I've been playing for a long time. However,
or maybe even longer than that.
I have a home
church. You know
church.
how hard it is to get free after that amount of time?
Here's the thing though. I have a home church to where I can go to lift my hands freely. And not have to worry.
But he's only able to enjoy a service like once a year.
Yeah, about one, pretty much. So it's just like the place where everybody else so I'm constantly serving. If you're constantly serving everyone all the time, when do you have a chance to eat?
What?
When do you have the chance to be fed?
Good. That's real good.
If you're constantly serving all the time, when do you have the chance to eat?
So here's the thing. Now, I get this from my girls.
Help us.
I get this from everybody. They want me to dance with them so bad, right? Now, anybody that knows me knows I dance. Mm-hmm. I dance with an ED. Mm-hmm. Here's why.
With an ED. Right, Joel.
I used to sing. Mm-hmm. And no longer. Here's why. You said the place where you're supposed to be free is where you're most bound. Mm-hmm. I remember, and we don't know what people are going through. Yeah. I still remember the song. Mm-hmm. Storm is over.
Oh boy.
At one particular church, I danced. That's what I did.
Right.
I was going through a whole bunch of stuff. The Lord had his way. I was pulled afterwards. People are not going to be ministered like that if you do that. You need to stick to the routine.
This is why.
Wow.
People are not going to feel it if...
This is why I don't care where I'm at.
When you're singing, you bust out and start crying. You bust out and start shouting. When you're singing, you bust out and start shouting.
I shout in the SDA church.
When
I don't care.
You dance. So where you got conditioned to I just stopped. Y'all see me dance?
And
do y'all see me dance?
I just stopped.
Do y'all see me dance?
Yeah. No,
I just stopped.
Have y'all heard me sing? I just stopped.
And there it is.
I didn't start singing again until I moved to the Philadelphia area. Shout out to my pastor, Joanne Barnett. She was not going to not let me sing. Mm-hmm. She didn't care that I had on a t-shirt and Tim boots and jeans. She knew there was something there, and she pushed and pushed, and she prayed, and she read the Bible with me, and she made me study, and she did everything a pastor is supposed to do. I can tell you, I can literally count out of every single ministry I've been a part of, 3 people have pastored me. 3, just 3. She was one of them because she was not. She didn't care. Here's the thing: she didn't care about my gift. It wasn't about that.
Right.
She knew that everything in me and around me was what hindered me from using my gift.
Right.
And she knew that my gift was coming from a pure place when I used it.
Right.
But because I was much like the smog outside, because I wasn't in a pure place.
Right.
See, when I have to say this because when I got pregnant with my son, I was still a part of this ministry.
Right.
When I got pregnant with my daughter, I got sat down.
Wow.
When I got pregnant with my son, pregnant and all, she still passed me that microphone. And she said to me, the sin was in the sex.
Right.
But your baby is a gift from God.
Right.
And God don't care anything about what you've already repented for. I learned true repentance from her. And pregnant, out of wedlock, she still gave me that microphone and made me sing Great Is Thy Faithfulness, which is why it's my favorite hymn.
Wow. Joel, you right,
And
man.
pregnant,
Joel said,
out of wedlock.
Out of wedlock.
I pushed one of my girls to continue to
Right,
dance.
Exactly.
Like,
You
bring your son to practice. I got him.
You still are loved. And guess what? Whether your sin was public or not, God still loves you and still wants you to give your time, your treasure, your tithes. He still wants all of those things from you. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you committed a sin that everybody can see.
Right.
Well.
That everybody can see.
But here's the thing, though.
Because y'all want to sit here and condemn folks because you don't sin like them. Because you don't have the same sin as them. So it's easy to condemn someone for a sin you don't commit, forgetting that you still have sins that you do. I can't stand when somebody has a visible sin and they're condemned when everybody who doesn't have a visible sin is still sinning.
Right. Well, people
somebody.
People love to point fingers at the sin that's not theirs.
It's not theirs.
So if you're drinking, I'm going to point the finger at you. You're having sex and I don't. I'm going to point the finger at you. You're doing this and I don't. But there it is again. Manipulation.
That's now, molestation.
Here's the thing. The word mistrust. We have not tapped on that yet. So now, because of all this, you have learned not to trust. Now, here's the thing.
That's another conditioning.
Here's the thing. I've been conditioned already not to trust.
Already.
However, here's the thing though. What if you don't have the decision to stop your gift? To stop the gift. You have to now keep doing your gift because the gift is taking care of you. The gift is taking care of your family.
Do you know?
You don't have the option of stopping.
Do you know the reason behind, for me, this has nothing to do with anybody else or a song or anything else, but do you understand the reason why I say God provides? That's my way of saying I'm putting my trust in you because guess what? The mistrust, I didn't trust God either. Why? In my mind, the Bible says all things, and we know all things work together, right?
That's right.
Well, guess what? I didn't understand that then. I get it now. So back then, when they used to say the scripture, I used to be like, well, you allowed this to happen to me. How can I trust you?
Absolutely.
You created him. How can I trust you? You didn't. You put people around that were blind to what I was, to my circumstance. You want me to trust you?
Wow.
Because of these things happening to me, it was difficult, and it's still sometimes difficult to trust the God that I'm serving. So I have to constantly say God provides. It has nothing to do with money.
Right.
It has everything to do with this is me saying, God, I trust you in everything. Right. And I have to remind myself that I have to trust.
Well, more than anything, you need God to provide strength.
Like when you are teaching, like now the generational thing, you're teaching the mistrust. And a lot of times I have to check myself because I'm big on I'm inquisitive, so I'm asking questions. But how do you know? But like
Corey Nick,
and I do that to my daughter all the time. She's like, Mom, what, you don't trust them? You don't like them? You think they not cool? No, I don't trust them because I don't trust anybody. And if you know me, you know that. Like, because every time I do,
and because if you know her daughter, see, you have to understand, if you know her daughter, and I can we projected it onto them.
We did.
And we didn't mean to. We didn't mean to, but because of that, she is now a skeptic. She's now a skeptic.
Absolutely.
Because now she side eyes everybody.
And that's my fault though.
Right.
She side eyes everybody. Like, you heard what she just said, because I literally, when you said that, I heard that in her voice. What, you don't trust them?
You don't like
them.
But I did that to her because of my own mistrust, because of the situations that I've dealt with in the past, and I don't trust anyone. So now I projected that onto my daughter. Right. Well, you know what? Don't trust nobody. Nobody means you no good. Right. Stand on your own. You're gonna get hurt. Like, so now.
And now we're creating that whole independent women thing.
But hold on.
Hold
on.
You don't need no man to do this, and you don't need nobody to do that for you.
But hold on. You have now passed that down.
Right.
So, because there was a time when I first met Angel. And I remember when I used to get her small gifts. And then it was almost like she rejected the gifts. She was just like, why are you being so nice to me? What are you looking for?
No, seriously.
It's just like, like.
And that's what I said about how it affected me as a wife. Remember I said that to you?
Yeah, you're too nice. You got to have some kind of motive. What are you looking for?
Every man that came my way, bro. Every man that came my way. I didn't care what you was coming for. In my mind, you coming for something.
Yeah, you coming for something.
You have a motive and you have an agenda.
And the thing is, and we passed that down.
But this is what, okay. And for me, it is the reason why.
Hey, Darlene.
I side eye every male that tries to get close to me. And it could just be you cool people. Like, you know what I'm saying? I give Jay flack all the time. Not because I don't love him. He's a male. It is what it is. Right. I side eye no, I don't trust you.
Right.
Like, and projecting that off on my daughter, and it again goes back to how it has affected my parenting, because it's like,
Michelle.
No, we're not doing that.
Right, because it was hard for me to accept compliments from James. It was hard for me to accept the gifts that he was giving me. When he would say, when we first met, it was a constant.
Right.
It was a constant. Like, even to this day, I had to get used to my husband, who at the time when he wasn't even my husband. We're talking 12 years now that we've been together. But I still I still say to him, thank you, because after 12 years, he still, if we're away from each other, checks on me at least 3 times a day. And in the beginning, I used to be like, why are you texting me so much? Why are you calling me so much? Like, and he would just literally text, hey, just checking on you, just want to make sure you're okay. And I just couldn't understand, why are we doing this?
Right. Mistrust. That's mistrust.
I couldn't understand it. He would give me a compliment and I would be like, yeah, all right, whatever.
Right.
And it was just so hard for the compliments to penetrate.
Right.
And one thing I've said this to my children, and I stand by this, because of the mistrust, I have barriers, boundaries, and fences, and barbed wire, and hurdles, and rabid dogs that sniff gunpowder, and brick walls. All of that is up around me and around my heart. I'm so guarded. But you forget that when you do that, you also keep yourself caged in.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that Brian Red said on here, he said, sis, the more you're speaking, you're freeing yourself. For every time I have shared this story, my stories of my life with Ebony and with my hearts, and all the females that have been around me and younger girls that I talk to when they bring me to panels to speak, every time I allow myself to open up and be vulnerable in the situation and speak about it, one of those barriers comes down. Until it only takes one sucker to say one thing or do one thing that is, in my eyes,
in alignment with the reason why
I'm here in the first place, and then everything goes back up and I add more security.
Now, here's the thing with that. Even that's a little dysfunctional.
It's very dysfunctional. No, it's very dysfunctional.
I'm reminded of a story of
hey, Vicky,
a wife and her husband. And I read the story, and I was challenged by it, because that's just not what we do. So, a wife and a husband, they were together for almost 25 years, and they had a daughter who was like in her, late, 18, 19. So they found out, the daughter found out that the father had cheated, like years ago, and she was upset. Even though it happened years ago, the daughter was ticked off. She was like, how could you do that to my mother? How could you do that? Dad, you're such a horrible dad. How could you do that? Why are you still with him? How did y'all stay together 25 years and he did that to you? And the mother said, you got it all wrong. I'm not staying. I'm not leaving him for the one thing he did wrong. I'm staying with him
for all the other things he did right.
He did right.
Right.
She says, why would I leave him for the one mistake he made, when all the millions of other things through the 25 years he did was right? And the daughter had to be like, wow, really? Like, I never thought of it like that.
Right.
But I say that even to us.
Because you only, for some reason, none of the, I don't know why, but the one negative,
one thing gotta mess up,
literally washes out all the good things.
All the good. Because when you have been traumatized and when you have guarded your heart and guarded your space and guarded your sanity and guarded your energy,
and then you let
how much it takes
to let somebody in,
someone in. Like, and it takes so much. It takes mental, physical, emotional.
And that person hurts you. You feel like, oh, you just rose to the occasion. You're literally just like everybody else. Like it is triggering and it's traumatizing. Absolutely. It's like freaking post-traumatic stress. Like it really is.
But we block our blessings when we do that, and here is why. Because when we put these guards up and we have the trust issue, and I don't, something ain't right. Why? You're constantly second guessing. I can only speak for myself. If I continued on that path of not allowing, not trusting, not seeking God first to get my discernment together, who's really for me and who's not, I would not be sitting here right now.
And that only comes from prayer and supplication.
Like, I wouldn't be sitting here now, because if I continue to or put my trust in the wrong people, places, or things and go off of their motives, because 99.999 she means you no good. Why are you hanging with her? Why are you talking to her?
Right.
If I put all the trust over there into what they said, I would not be sitting here now. Instead of putting my trust in the Lord and allowing Him to
you
speak
brought that
to
into perspective. Thank you very much, because that's the only reason why. And I'm going to use this as an example. This is the only reason why I can trust her. It's the only reason why I can trust you. I can trust you. I can trust you. Is because I have no choice but to put my trust in God. Because if I, as the Bible says, if I lean to my own understanding,
absolutely,
I would have nobody. and that's the truth. I would shut everybody out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And because of everything that happened, it made me so angry. And because I didn't know how to express my anger, I didn't know how y'all see it. I still have, still got my own issues right now. But because I didn't know how to express my anger as a teenager, I didn't know how to speak what I needed to, like, I didn't know how to communicate what I was going through, what I was feeling. They tried to put me in therapy as a child. None of it worked. Therapy didn't, I have to say this. Therapy didn't work for me until I wanted therapy.
Until you wanted it.
Wow. You have to want it.
You have to want it.
I wanted my freedom. But when I was a kid and they tried to put me in therapy, it was like, I mean, you know what I want to say.
But I'm going to
keep it clean.
You have to acknowledge that you needed therapy.
Right. Because in my mind, I'm not the one that needed therapy.
Right.
It's everybody that hurt me that needs the therapy.
Right.
I didn't ask to be brought into this world.
Right.
That's number one.
Right.
I didn't ask to not grow up with my parents. That's number two. I didn't ask to be touched by specific folks. I didn't ask to be raped. I didn't ask for none of those things. So why do I need the therapy?
Right.
That's how I felt. And because you kept trying to put me in that position, like, it felt like I was being attacked mentally now. Because I've already been attacked physically. Now you're attacking my mind and saying that I'm crazy. Clearly I'm crazy because I need the therapy. Right? So I became very angry.
And that's the emotional attack, right?
Very angry. So, because I didn't know how to express it, I didn't know how to communicate it. I numbed it. Wow. I numbed it with weed. I numbed it with alcohol. I numbed it with sex and men. And I became what, as some people say, I became the man. I could care less about being in a relationship. I'm going to do what I want to do. If y'all can treat us like this, I can treat you like that. I can care less. So I didn't care about a man's feelings. And then it came to the whole aggressor. I became an aggressor. So as I got older and I'm in my 20s in relationships and I got hit for the first time by a man, any person that came after that, I was the first one to swing.
Right.
Because you're not going to keep inflicting pain on me. Right. I'm going to be the first person. And you're going to know that you fought me. I don't care if you beat me up. But you're going to know you ain't just going to sit back and beat me up. We going to fight.
Absolutely.
But so for that, I became aggressive, not just with men, but period. I was just aggressive. Right. So as an adult, as a matured adult who still has to work through these issues, I still get triggered. Right. I still have anger issues. These things don't go away because you pray them away. Right. It never goes away. I put my anger and all my issues in God's hands. Right. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it's not a part of who I am. Again, goes back to the characteristics. These characteristics were instilled in me because of everything that I have been through.
But you're handling them in a different
I'm trying. I'm gonna say that I'm trying to handle them better.
You know that therapy was only adapted by the church maybe 10 years ago.
Well, therapy. Some churches still don't have.
Right, they still don't
therapy.
Believe in it. But I'm just saying, accepted.
We believe in Christ
worldwide,
and the couch,
where a church can actually say, "Okay, you do need therapy." Like it was always, you can pray it away.
Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Got the devil in you.
Come in here and get this oil on your forehead
and pray it, and that be that. Like the church really didn't adapt, therapy like that.
And here's the thing:
it wasn't like that.
Can we pin right there? Because I do believe in spirits. Mm-hmm. I do believe in laying of hands, and I have personally. I'll never forget it, and those who were there knew and saw. I believe in spirits and demons, and I'll never forget years ago, in a deliverance service, from what I was told, was having spirits casted out, where my body levitated off the floor. So yeah, they exist, and I can and now I can actually see them.
Right.
I believe they
But we ain't gonna go there because some folks ain't ready for that conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
However, here's what, going back to your therapy. Once that's over, you have to fill those voids with something.
Well, that's the thing.
And therapy
is the spirit, but not the mind.
Not the mind.
That's
not the mind.
The mind was the most powerful.
Right.
Not the mind. Those spirits.
Even Christ talk about let
this mind, right,
be in you.
So even after, and this is probably where I should have, but I did it because I didn't know any better. Right. After that deliverance service happened, yes, I felt free in some areas, but I still felt bound in here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. That's why, the Bible talks about the renewing.
Daily renewing.
That's a daily thing. It's not a thing of, you just got it together.
Yeah, deliverance is a daily thing. You have to be delivered daily. It's not you're delivered from this and
you're good.
No.
Oh, because I can put it like this. I quit smoking cigarettes in 2003. And I have shared this with my husband. Whenever I am in such a down space, I have these periods where I'm in a very low space. I can still taste nicotine on my tongue, and I haven't smoked in over 20 years.
No, that's.
And you know what's crazy? Here's the thing, though. We also have to point out that because of the transference of spirits, how many people have you slept with?
That all plays a part.
That all plays a part in your mental.
That plays a part.
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
You took on a little bit of them.
And who they've been with.
And who they've been with.
Oh yeah.
So now you have a roll around of spirits that's inside you, and you don't know why you're having certain thoughts. You're having
certain thoughts in certain moments.
Yeah, in moments of whatever. You're having anxiety. You've never dealt with that before. You're having suicide thoughts. You've never dealt with that before. You're thinking about drinking. Different things that you now deal with is because of things that has happened in that past of yours,
right.
Of ours,
right?
So it's
because if you're depressed 9 times out of 10, someone in your lineage suffered with some type of depression.
Right. Everything is not generational. Something is a cause
inside of your bloodline.
Yeah. Some things are just causes of some of the things you've
done. That's like having.
You're not late,
like indecisive.
You always
a person
on time.
That's like indecisive. Whether it is they don't know what to wear, they don't know what to do this, they don't know what to eat, they don't know what to do that. 9 times out of 10, that person also is indecisive on what sex they want to be with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it all plays a part. It's like a circle, and it's like a life non-revolving. It just keep going. It keep going until you get. It starts in the mind.
Right.
You have
so the molestation does, even after that person never touches you again.
They still have control over you.
They still have control. They still have control. Like I said, it's like a scar. Imagine if you fell off a bike or you got a cut on your arm or something like that. And the scar, you get stitches and everything. The scar heals. It got a scab. The scab goes away. You done put shea butter on it and you done grease it all up and years go by. And now it's a part of your skin. There's no lump there no more. But if you look real good, you'll still see a scar. There's still a scar there. And the moment you look at that scar, everything that happened for you to get that scar comes flooding back to your mind.
So how do you not transfer or stop the transfer when you're trying to serve in ministry? What if you see something in ministry,
it's like a blood transfusion, that
you see your scar, something triggers your scar while you're ministering?
Well, let's go back to Michelle's. Even though she, I don't know if she's still on. But I'm going to use Michelle's example that she spoke on here. She said that she had a sexual encounter in a prayer service.
Wow.
Something happened to her. She didn't go into detail, so I'm not going to tell her business. But she did mention in the comments that she had a unwanted sexual encounter in a prayer service.
Wow.
I don't even know what that. Listen, I don't know what that's like.
Wow, that's
but
really,
what happens when you have to see this person?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, a pastor, a deacon, somebody who holds a position, somebody who don't.
Right.
A musician.
Does it ever really heal?
Does it when you serve with this person?
Yeah. Does it ever heal?
I mean, imagine being raped by the praise and worship leader.
Right.
And you still serve, because the first thing that people say is, "Oh, don't church hop," or "church hurt doesn't exist,"
right.
and all these other things. No, church hurt does not exist. Okay, church hurt does not exist. But it depends on how you define it, because if the church finds out, or if officials in the church find out, and nothing happens,
right,
and you still got to get up every Sunday morning and see this person.
Wow.
Right.
Is that not church hurt? Because the church knows and nobody's doing anything about it? I don't blame the church for anything. It's the people in the church who are people first. Right. People are people first before they become saints or ain'ts or church people. It's not the church. Let's stop doing that. It's not the building.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not the church that Jesus intended on when he was speaking about the church. But the people in the church are people first. They're people first. People are people first. Before you put a title to who they are, they're people first. Right. And I can't imagine. I love my sister, so I'm so glad that I wasn't around when this was going on, because I know me. But I can't imagine getting up and going to church and having to look in the face the person who has violated me.
Yeah.
In a place where should be sacred and free.
That goes into
it's different. See, and I'm gonna say it. It's different for me to be in my home. It's different. I'm not gonna lie. There's different levels to this. Being in the house, it's like, okay, and I'm sure the pain is all the same. But if you are taught to believe in God and the people of God, I have to imagine that for her there had to be a different. She grew up in the church. Right. I went to church. There's a difference. I went to church my whole life, but I wasn't. I went to church. I like the music. We're here. But I wasn't. We participated in church because my mother told us to. She grew up in the church.
Yeah.
She grew up in the church. She was embedded in the church. I left and did whatever I wanted to do. When I chose to go back to church, I went on my own. She'd been in church her whole life. I can't imagine the pain I would feel to go to church, and if I know this correctly, and I think she said it, it's not just one person.
Right.
But see, that's the thing.
But I was getting ready to say that
it's not just one person.
It's a perception, because sometimes they look at it as, and it's all unwanted. It's unwarranted. Yeah. So if it's like, especially when we're adults and adolescents, it's like,
whoa,
you're grown, you're old enough. But it's still unwanted.
Bishop Drizzle?
Like, it's still unwanted.
He said, flip side, imagine having to be the offender's leader.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
I can't even imagine what it's like to have, because, I'm going to assume this happened to her because she's pretty young as right now. So I'm going to assume that this happened to her when she was young. And I can't imagine having to see this person every Sunday. And then there's that whole forgiveness factor.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to do a part 2 of this.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
We're going to have to table it.
We're going to have to do a part 2 to this one, because we didn't even mean to go 2 hours.
We usually don't go this long. But we have to table it for tonight. So, Angel, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna share what Michelle just said, just so we can, because this live is gonna be deleted. That's why I tell you guys it's better to be on YouTube, because you can still read the comments on YouTube. The Facebook live actually gets deleted pretty much immediately. She said, I still can't be in a service with him. Now we're talking about at least probably 20 some odd years of trauma. I still can't be in a service with him. And yes, she did. I remember that. She used to have panic attacks.
Right.
And how do you develop a panic attack?
Right. Give your closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts would be this. One, do not be afraid to tell your truth.
Right.
And here's the thing, for those of you who have a truth to tell, this is where the forgiveness for me kind of came in. Mm-hmm. I can tell my truth and not hurt anyone else. You don't have to tell, because one thing, if I said, Ebony was the one who molested me, all y'all will hate Ebony. Mm-hmm. And in your mind, oh, Ebony doesn't deserve forgiveness. Ebony doesn't deserve to be loved by God. But guess what? My offenders, I said that with an S, are still created by the God that I serve. The Bible says He reigns on the just and the unjust. Right. I don't know if they've accepted Christ, so I can't be the one to condemn them. Okay. So when you decide to tell your truth, tell it. Okay. But also be mindful that you don't know where they are in God. So you don't have to be like, oh, this specific person did this, because I don't want anybody out there, and I purposely don't say any names when I tell my stories, because I don't want anybody out there hating somebody that they don't even know. This is my truth. This is my story. This happened to me. Right. I'm sharing it because maybe something like this happened to you, and hopefully this gives you the space to search yourself.
Okay. Good
search yourself. But when you're searching yourself and when you're getting free, okay, don't drag people.
Okay, good one.
Don't drag people.
What you got?
I would say in telling your truth, first be honest with oneself.
Right.
And then know who to tell your truth to.
That too.
Know who to tell your truth to, because everyone, has their own journeys and their own paths. Right. And they deal and think and matriculate through life differently, and it might help them, but it might not help you. Right. So first be, honest with oneself and know who and when to share your truth.
Good. My only closing thoughts, y'all, is honestly just to stay prayerful. Out here, you have different people living different lives. You don't know who went through which. Don't judge. We don't know what anybody's going through or has been through. Stay prayerful. Do what needs to be done. Thank you all for watching In the Key of J&A. We appreciate you.
Thank y'all so much.
I'm your host, Jay Morris. This is Angel, and this is Eb. We appreciate Zach Williams Studios for hosting us this evening.
We will not be on next week.
We will not be on next week
because it's the hub's birthday.
Oh yeah, we're gonna celebrate next week. We're gonna celebrate real good. So
we won't be on next week.
But the week after, stay tuned. Yep.
To this.
Stay tuned.
If you want to go back and listen to this actual podcast, please
YouTube.
go to In the Key of J&A podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. And remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Leave your
stay
comments.
Up because I'm going to make sure, and also follow our Instagram page.
Yep.
Because I'm going to make sure to post certain tabs from tonight.
We love y'all so much.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you all.
Love you, Eve.
Everything.
Love you, Corinthia.
Love y'all.
Michelle,
family.
I love you.
Appreciate
I'm praying
y'all.
for you. I'm definitely going to call you.
Thank y'all for y'all support.
You're probably crying.
Yeah. Thank y'all for y'all support. Love y'all. See you.
Woo. That was wow. That was hard.